So this is a cheddar cheese that I made back in October 2019. It's now the 1st of February 2020, and I think it's aged enough where we can just about eat it. It weighs about 900 grams and it's made entirely from cow's milk. The surface is quite covered in various species of molds. You've got the bluey green one, which is penicillin. The other ones, like the reds, the pinks, the whites, I don't quite know what they are. But I'm sure it's fine. So we'll just cut it open and see what it tastes like then, shall we? It's quite hard to cut through the rind. Very firm actually. Just cut a wedge out of it. There we are. So if I move it back this way, let's take out the wedge, have a look at it. So yeah, here is a wedge of this cheese. We zoom in a little bit. It's got quite a nice colour to it. It's more yellowy around the outside. That's to be expected as a lot of the flavour develops towards the outside where the mold lives. And on the inside, you've got these white crystals. Some call them cheese crystals. They're actually made of calcium lactate, and they're very good for you. It actually smells really strong, quite like a blue cheese, but it should have the taste of a hard white cheese, as it were. There you can see the rind on the outside, which is made of the cheesecloth. I'm just going to peel that back. Done it in layers. It's actually a really, really hard cheese, more like a parmesan sort of hardness. Oh, it's stuck. I'll get back to you once it's been chopped up. So this is the cheese after the binding's all been taken off. Still needs to be washed up a little bit as you got the odd bit of mould here and there, and the cheesecloth has impressed like a pattern into it, and some of the white mould has sort of impregnated itself on the surface. So I'm just going to wash that and then be back in a second. So I've cleaned up the outside of the cheese just to get the majority of the mould off it. It's still really, really firm all the way around. There's no way that gives. You can see a little bit on the inside, we've got some holes, and they're left over from the cheese making process where some of the curds didn't quite compact as much. But yeah, I suppose the only thing to do now is to try it. So I'm just going to cut a little sliver for myself. So yeah, this sliver is about ½ centimetre thick. It's got a little bit of the mouldy rind on the outside, and in this you can quite clearly see the discoloration in the middle. You've got the more holy crystalline white interior and the slightly more yellow, almost glossy exterior. Yeah, so let's give it a taste. Yeah, so for such a strong smelling cheese, it actually tastes relatively mild. It's really, really creamy though, like extremely creamy, which is very, very nice. You can't taste any of the mould taste at all, so I think the mould just imparted its own unique flavour, but not a strong or at all tasteable blue cheese sort of flavour. It's matured really, really well. I think it could do with a good few more months, but as it is, it's really quite nice. So the outside of the cheese definitely has a stronger flavour than the inside. But that's to be expected, as the flavour tends to travel from the outside of the cheese inwards, and the longer you leave it, the more it flavours. So yeah, the inside's creamier, and the outside is definitely more tart. It's got a crisper flavour to it. It's really, really very nice. I'm just going to try it now with some crackers. So we've got a selection of crackers and cheese. Let's give it a go. I'm going to dip the cheese in some mustard. This is hot English mustard. Put it on a cracker. That goes exceptionally well, yeah. It would be nicer with a more flavourful cracker, like maybe a poppy seed cracker. But yeah, that really, really works. So, when I next make cheese, to improve on what we've got here, I'll probably press the cheese for a little less time. That'll help keep some of the moisture in, and it should speed up the aging process as well as probably keeping a little dish of water in the box that I'll store the cheese in. That'll help keep the moisture in the air a bit higher, and again should keep the outer rind of the cheese a little bit softer. Overall, I think I'd rate this cheese 8 out of 10 for flavour, as it's really quite varied and it's quite unique, but in a good way. The texture, 5 out of 10, as it's a tad bit dry, especially around the outside. The smell is 8 out of 10. It's very, very strong smell. But that blue smell doesn't travel over to the taste, which is what I wanted. So overall, I think I'd rate this cheese a 7 out of 10, and I'm quite pleased with it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.